Robbins and Jefferson Fisher, two self-help giants, offer their advice on gaslighting, and they almost nail it. They get real close. But we're going to hold it up to some godly wisdom and see if it passes the test. Welcome to Launch Your Rocket. I'm Jen Smith, and this is Truth Behind the Trend. I hope you're buckled up, because today we're breaking down something the world seems to be throwing around these days, and it's gaslighting. First of all, what even is gaslighting? Well, it's when someone makes you doubt your own reality, your own feelings, memory, so they can stay in control. You know, I was hanging out with my friend Debbie Tomey the other day, and she ordered chicken. And when the chicken dish came, it was cauliflower steak. So she said to the waitress politely, "This is cauliflower, not chicken. Would you mind taking it back?" And the waitress looks at her and says, "It's chicken." And we're both looking at each other like, it's cauliflower. She insists it's chicken. We asked the waitress to take it back to the chef and just get us a chicken dish. Well, the waitress comes back holding the same dish, insisting it's chicken again, and said that the chef says it's chicken too. And Debbie and I at this point are sniffing it and dissecting it like it's a frog in middle school biology class. Could this be chicken? I mean, two adult women, knowing we have cauliflower steak in front of us, trying to convince each other that it must be chicken. So we just sat there eating the cauliflower, trying to convince ourselves maybe it's chicken. It wasn't. And this, my friends, is gaslighting. When someone gets you to second guess your own reality. You know, what do Mel and Jefferson say about this? How do you handle somebody like this? They say, stand your ground. Just say, I remember things differently. That's it, period. No defending, no engaging, no arguing. Just repeat it. I remember things differently. They say gaslighting is a game of control. I agree. They say that the person is like holding a laser pointer at you, like you're a cat and you're chasing it, and I couldn't agree more. So stop chasing, stand still, hold your ground. Great advice. Let them dig their hole and fall into it. All right, sounds smart, right? It sounds like freedom. It sounds like power. But what if I told you that that advice is an inch from the truth, which is basically a mile from freedom? Because if you only control the action, but never address the condition of the heart, you're still miserable. Stick with me. You'll still be haunted by the gaslighter, and they're still going to be owning your peace. Mel and Jefferson teach the world to handle the situation, and I agree with it, but they never make mention of the most important part, the main character of the story, which is the transformation of a hurting heart. The world versus the truth. You know, the world says stand still, say nothing, let them fall. What does truth say? Well, Proverbs 15:12 says, a mocker stays away from the wise because they hate being corrected. You have to think about that in order to understand how it applies. Think about it. A mocker, the gaslighter, stays away from the wise, you, because they hate being corrected. It means the gaslighter can't stay in your company because your light is making them uncomfortable. It doesn't tell us how to handle the gaslighter directly, but the Bible asks us to think about why they are trying to dim your light. The truth doesn't say hold your ground, let them dig their hole, let them fall into it. That advice teaches you to protect your ego and to ignore the gaslighter. But God says protect your heart and transform the gaslighter. That's when you find peace, not when you win. The world says win, and God says rise and lift them with you. All right, but stop, Jen. You don't know my gaslighter. My gaslighter needs to fall in a hole. All right, fair. Let's think about this. Who in your life is a gaslighter? Maybe you're sitting at book club and one of your friends just announces that she got a huge promotion, a big title, a big paycheck, and a new house, and you're just sitting there sipping your wine politely, but something inside of you is tensing up, and you say to yourself, oh, she probably had a connection. I'm really happy for her, but you tell your friend she had an in. Well, then you're a gaslighter. Or maybe your friend just got engaged and you're about to double tap the post that she put up, but your stomach kind of flips because you're still navigating your own dating scene and you just kind of pretend you don't see it. Well, then you're a gaslighter. Or maybe you're sitting with a friend scrolling through someone's vacation reel. No, just me, not you. All right. Perfect angles, glowing skin. The caption says #blessed. And you're both like, that's not even real. She's not even happy in real life. You're a gaslighter. Guys, we're all guilty of being the gaslighter. So let's stop talking about them like, I don't know, they're a dirty napkin that we just blew our nose into. The gaslighter. They are you and me. And listen, I'm not judging. We've all been there. We've had that flicker of resistance when someone else's joy shows up just a little too loud. We're all guilty. But maybe if we start seeing ourselves in their flaw, we might handle it a little bit differently with some more compassion or understanding, maybe even forgiveness. Why do we do this? Why do we gaslight? Why do we try to dull people's reality? Because when someone else starts shining a little too bright, it questions your own dimmer switch. Their success is not a threat. It's an invitation that your heart needs a little transformation. All right. Still not for you. You're not a gaslighter. You still just don't see yourself as the gaslighter. That's a shame because you'll never have empathy to help the person who's hurting you. Have you ever seen someone you know step into their light? Yes, we all have. They're killing it. I don't know, maybe they lost some weight or they won Powerball and they're buying that big house on the ocean. Have you ever pretended to just not see it? You see, sometimes gaslighting is quiet. It doesn't always look like manipulation. Sometimes it's silent. The absence of support. It's saying nothing when the truth is right in front of you because they may be a little too bright. Truth is, whether you believe it or not, we're all gaslighters in some capacity, quietly in our heads, in our scrolls, and in our comparisons. But when you finally get honest about that, when you stop gaslighting others to protect your own doubt, that's when you break free too. All right, so Jen, great. How do we handle a gaslighter then? Back to the advice where we're here to challenge, right? Mel and Jefferson's advice on how to handle it was, they say, let them gaslight you. They say and repeat, I remember things differently. Stand still, hold your ground. And I agree with all of that completely. Then they say, let them dig their hole. I even agree with that. God holds people accountable. We're not saying let people walk all over you. Let them dig their hole. Let them fall in it. That's where you lose me a little bit. But as much as I agree with the sound advice, because I'm certainly not looking to be combative with them, they're wise and wonderful, but it does fall short. It's hollow. And what's missing? It's the understanding and the compassion, the heart behind it. Honestly, I bet if they were with me, they would agree that, oh yes, we should understand the gaslighter. It's important. They do need compassion. But to not say the most important piece on the podcast is saying it's not important when it's the most important. And some people will come at me with this. They're going to say, Jen, this is what they mean. These guys mean what you're saying. You're wrong. Guys, there is no way when you finish their podcast, you take away a message of compassion, love, and transformation. And that's a problem. Good advice can be even more dangerous because it takes the focus away from truth because we think we found sound advice. But it's one small inch from the truth, which is a mile from freedom. We have to make compassion, understanding, and love the main character of the lesson. We need to have transformation of both hearts. After all, we're so quick to act like the gaslighter is the bad guy. But weren't we just talking about how we too have times in our lives when we are the gaslighter? And it's usually something going on in our hearts. Wouldn't it be nice if someone loved on us and tried to understand us rather than to dig a hole and then let us fall in it? The reality is gaslighting comes from a heart that is either hardened, hurting, or hungry for the truth. And that's where the shift happens. If we only follow the world's advice, we'll find ourselves defending our ego, pushing people away, and remaining stuck in our own hurt. It's easy to stand in judgment from a self-appointed throne. But when we do, we miss the entire point. Instead of letting them dig their hole, what if we helped them out of it? What if we loved them in spite of their flaw? Shining light, even when they don't deserve it. But this is where God's wisdom changes everything. God's advice versus the world. The world's advice tells you to win the argument. God says, win the heart. The world says, stand your ground. But God says, stand in truth and love the broken. We're not called to push people in a hole. We're called to reach down and shine a light in the darkness and show them a way out. So shine your light so bright that it helps them find their way out of the dark hole that you pushed them in. And that's how we handle a gaslighter, by maintaining your light in a dark place. The world will say protect your power. God says protect your peace. The world says win the argument. God says win the battle in your heart. See, there is a difference. The world says let them fall in the hole, but God says lift them out of the hole. You don't have to scream your truth. And here's the thing, don't. That's just obnoxious. Just live it. When someone tries to twist your story, don't just say I remember things differently. Live differently, love differently, and eventually they'll remember you differently too. It's not about letting them gaslight you. It's about loving them anyway, because love is always the answer and the main character. And that's it for for today's version of Truth Behind the Trend. If you found that helpful in any way, or you think somebody might enjoy hearing it, please share, like, subscribe, comment. You can also follow me at TikTok and Instagram at Launch Your Rocket. I have a website, launchyourrocket.com, where you can contact me directly. I have a couple courses there. You can join my community. I'm really grateful you're here, and I'll see you next time on Truth Beyond the Trend.